President Trump telling Iran it's now or never, rolling out a 15-point plan aimed at ending the conflict once and for all. Key points include dismantling Iran's nuclear facilities, halting all nuclear enrichment, restricting missile programs, ensuring free speech, safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, and ending Iran's support for regional terror proxies.
So far, the Iranians digging in their heels. They're demanding on their end, listen to this, guarantees that the regime won't be attacked again, full sanctions relief, compensation for the war, a new payment system for the Strait of Hormuz, and the removal of U.S. bases from the entire region.
Markets reacting notably today. Oil prices falling, still hovering above $90 a barrel after President Trump announced Iran has agreed to scrap its nuclear program.
They can't have a nuclear weapon, and they're not going to have a nuclear weapon, and we're talking about that. And I don't want to say in advance, but they've agreed they will never have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that.
Of course, they've been lying about exactly that for years. But if you don't know, now you know, regime.
President Trump does not bluff, and he is prepared to unleash hell. Iran should not miscalculate again.
Joining us now, former National Security Council Chief of Staff, Alex Gray. We know that not one but two Marine Expeditionary Units are moving into place, and then there's the little old 82nd Airborne that's been called up. Alex, great to see you. So will this end, will there be resolution through negotiation or resolution through decimation and annihilation of this regime?
Well, thanks for having me back, Dagan. I think that to some extent, President Trump's going to get his successful negotiation because he's already decimated significant portions of the regime. I don't think he's going to have to go any farther. I mean, think about what this operation has accomplished. It's the most successful. Take away the politics, take away the media nonsense. It is the most successful military operation the U.S. has waged since 1990 in the first Gulf War. And the metrics the president set from the outset have been accomplished. Destroying the missile program, destroying the drone program, the Navy, regime targets that the Israelis have hit. I mean, this has been just an astoundingly successful operation by all those metrics. And so the Iranians have a choice. They can wait for the Marine Expeditionary Unit to arrive. They can wait for the 82nd Airborne to show up in force. They can force the president to unleash that further decimation, or they can accept some semblance of the terms he's offered. And I tend to think they're going to accept a substantial portion of what the president's put on the table.
Alex, two questions. There's all these debates and arguments over whether the negotiations are really happening at all, right? The Iranians have denied it, and then there's reports that they've rejected certain things and might be willing to talk more. Are the negotiations real? And who exactly is left to negotiate with? Who would have the power to implement any changes if they were to agree? That's point one. Second question is, you just talked about the astounding success. Militarily, empirically, you're correct. The new Fox News polling that just came out a few minutes ago, though, shows the public is almost exactly evenly split on whether the war is going well. Is that a product of this drumbeat of negativity in much of the press coverage?
Well, Guy, I think that absolutely. To your second question first, I think that the American public, when you look at what they are listening to from particularly mainstream media sources, it's just outright propaganda. In some instances, it actually sounds like Iranian regime propaganda, and it's so divorced from the reality of what our men and women in uniform are accomplishing every day in the field. It's astounding. To your question about, who do we talk to? Look, when I was in government, we had back channels with the Iranians through intermediaries and other ways. We could talk to them when we needed to about specific issues. The same goes with the North Koreans. We always have ways of communicating with even our worst adversaries. And so the big question here is not, are we going to be talking to them at the some point in time, we will. The big question is, do they have, to your question, Guy, do they have the internal cohesion to be able to negotiate in good faith? We know that the parliament speaker in Iran is trying to gain leverage. He's no doubt fighting with elements of the IRGC and the military and the security apparatus. My guess is the biggest question is the people who we're speaking to, even through intermediaries, can they actually deliver on things that they say they want to deliver on?
Alex Gray, thank you so much. And I'll just point out, as we were putting up those polls, 77% of Republicans support the current U.S. military action. But what we didn't show, 90% of MAGA voters support it. That's President Trump's base. Thank you, Alex.
Thanks, guys.